before the game. Don't worry about LA. Don't worry about Milwaukee. Just win your games. Tonight, that task is up to the big starter. That's Adam Wainwright. Let's welcome in Rick Horton. And Ricky, he's trying to go for win number 14.
Yeah, Wainwright's still the guy that you want to go to in a big game on this club, but his last 24 innings, Dan, he's given up 13 runs, so he's not been vintage Adam Wainwright. I'd like to see that over the next couple of weeks.
Our partner tonight, look who joins us straight from Europe into the broadcast booth, Hungo, and welcome to the pennant race. This is a lot of fun.
Well, it is a lot of fun, and I was just thinking earlier today that going into spring training, I always wanted to be playing meaningful games in September. Well, the Cardinals have accomplished that. This is going to be a lot of fun these last 6 games. I recommend the Cardinals just take care of their own business. They need to win games and don't worry about the other 2.
So it's a pair of right-handers here tonight for the Washington Nationals. He was part of the World Series run a year ago. That's Edwin Jackson for St. Louis. It's Adam Wainwright. It's the Nationals. It's the Cardinals. Maybe a playoff preview here tonight. We're going to find out. Baseball coming up on Fox Sports Midwest. Washington Nationals. Last time we saw him, he was all over the field with his legs, bat, and certainly his arm. Toyota Key for the Cardinals shut him down. The 19-year-old, a sensational player. He leads rookies in runs, triples, extra base hits, and total bases. And just for good measure, he's knocked out 21 out of the ballpark. What a player he is. His first visit to St. Louis, Bryce Harper. A look at Mike Matheny next. He is finishing up his final homestand of the regular season in his first year as manager of the Cardinals. It's not just following up a Hall of Famer, figuring out when to argue, or managing his time. The season has been a learning experience on all fronts for the Card skipper.
The most difficult thing I've been consistently saying is handling the losses and letting them go, and being able to really get past them to move forward. It's crazy. You know, as a player, they stuck with me, but not nearly like what they do as a manager.
Matheny is one of the youngest leaders in the sport. He's managing many of the players that he played with or against.
They don't have time or room for me to be their buddy. It's just that's not how it's set up. I think of it too as a parent. You know, I think you want to be friends with your kids at some point, but it's more important that you're their parent and make the decisions that are necessary to help that relationship work and for them to do the best that they can. And that's what happens in here. Is I know that these guys need me to make tough decisions, and sometimes those are tough conversations and things that they may not want to hear. But that's what I need to do, and I realize that that's a part of my job description, one, and two, that they're going to be more effective if I do that job the right way.
One of the toughest aspects of the job, managing a pitching staff. Mike has relied on pitching coach Derek Lilliquist.
He's been very valuable. I've been extremely impressed with his knowledge of not just the game, but of his staff. I've been very impressed with how he's always looking at how can we fix this. It's never, hey, this guy's just not doing this. It's, all right, what do we got to do to get this guy there? And I admire that about him. It's just it's a nice sounding board, and we both have our opinions. We don't always agree with each other. I think in the end, the pitching staff has appreciated what Derek's been able to bring.
Mike Matheny and the Cardinals kick off the final homestand of the season. Coming up on your home of the Cardinals, Fox Sports Midwest. Light, the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. Al Raboski, Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin with you, a three-man booth for tonight. And a look at the Nationals lineup. Jason Worth, Bryce Harper, and Ryan Zimmerman here in the first. Then it's LaRoche, Morse, and Desmond, Espinosa, Suzuki, and the former Cardinal. He's been with a lot of teams, but a vital part of last year's team, Edwin Jackson. Our Enterprise Bank and Trust starter, Al, is Adam Wainwright.
Well, Adam Wainwright, 13-13 on the season, ERA back over 4, but he'd like to atone for his start in Washington. Tied for his second lowest innings pitched, just 2 2/3 innings of that game. And hopefully we'll see a different Adam Wainwright tonight.
Rotation for Washington does get most of their attention, even without Steven Strasburg. But you look up and down this lineup, Rick, it's very, very good.
Yeah, they don't have any holes in their lineup at all. They've got a lot of production. They also have a lot of power, guys. They're at 186 home runs as a team. They've got a lot of pop.
And it's popped up to the right side. Who wants it? It's Descalso in fair territory, and that's how we start the game. Defense behind Wainwright tonight. Holiday, Jay, Beltran in the outfield. Carpenter and Cosma on the left side. Descalso, Craig on the right side of the infield. Molina's behind the plate. Wainwright on the mound. And the defense is brought to you by Dobbs. We saw that feature moments ago on Mike Matheny. Just some of his thoughts on what has happened first season for him. And as he said, Al, interesting that the losses have become a lot tougher as a manager than they did as a player. And most thought, as Harper follows it back, that wouldn't necessarily be the case because Mike really took him to heart as a player, and maybe he would learn going into this role.
Well, he really thought that that was not going to be a problem. And he's found that the losses are much tougher. You know, as a player, you can control some of it. But as a manager, once you put that lineup out, you know, it's up to the execution of his players. And right now, he kind of feels like he doesn't have a full deck with the injuries. Or on the other side, Davey Johnson has a healthy team for probably the first time all year.
0-2 here on Bryce Harper. The 19-year-old lays off the breaking ball, something that he did not do first time we saw him. They were getting him out on a lot of off-speed pitches and breaking balls.
Yeah, but if you go to it too often, he's going to make an adjustment. You don't have the kind of season as a rookie he's having without making adjustments. Over 20 home runs. He really is a fun player to watch.
It's 2-2 with one out, nobody on. Only 19 years old, and Harper could pick up Rookie of the Year in the National League. Not many would argue with that. Leads and runs, triples, extra base hits, and he has 21 home runs this year. The 2-2 chops it left side and foul, and you have to love how he goes about it every day. He plays as hard as anybody in the game of baseball, and you see the runs scored leaders, and Harper not even a full season, and he's among the league leaders.
And of course, a lot of people, the older people, will remember Pete Rose and the way he played all out, and they say Harper is much that way.
And that last swing we saw from Harper, indicative that he's maybe sitting on the curveball a little bit, expecting it. He's had a couple of very late swings on fastballs in because he knows he can just foul those pitches off. Wainwright coming back in again.
3-2, smoke down the right field line. It's a fair ball. It's off the sidewall, and Harper digs for 2. And he'll stop at second base. The throw comes in. You've got to get it back in because Harper does not stop. And Beltran, sometimes you think that he's just cruising to the baseball, but sometimes on the flip side of that, he's trying to deke the runner. May have been doing that there.
Might have, but you know, Beltran not at 100%. The knees are still bothering him, and you got an idea that Harper does run full bore, but under control, as he showed good judgment when he pulled up and stopped at second.
Ryan Zimmerman closing in on the century mark for RBIs. He's at 94. The cutter misses low and away. Home plate umpire is Bill Welke. Down at first, Corey Blazer. Chris Guccione at second. Crew chief is Jeff Nelson. He's at third. Outfield is deep, straight away. 1-0 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I like what Wainwright did there. He did the kind of double look to second base. You saw the back of his head, then he looked again because Harper runs very well. In fact, a lot of the Nationals with 20 or more stolen bases, and Harper has just enough bravado to want to take third against Wainwright.
Tight strike zone right now on Ryan Zimmerman. The 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
Good curveball there, but Dan, I agree with Mike Shannon and his assessment in the pregame show. You'd really like to see Adam Wainwright establish his fastball. As Ricky said, they're looking for the curveball, so try and throw the fastball in good locations and establish that.
The 2-2. Got a check swing. He chased it. Strikeout. First of the night for Adam Wainwright.
Good cutter right there. A lot of movement on it. That would be more of like a slider than a cutter. And you like not only where it ended up because it was out of the strike zone, but it tantalized him to get the swing.
The cleanup hitter is their first baseman, Adam LaRoche. He's had an outstanding season. 32 home runs. He's driven in 98. And remember, going into last year's offseason, the talk was that Washington would sign Prince Fielder. They've got LaRoche, and it's paid off. And he looks at a strike at 90 miles an hour. It's interesting when you watch Wainwright, he's not the hard thrower that he once was of 95, 96 miles an hour, but he spots it, moves it, it's effective.
And it's interesting whether or not he'll become that guy again. I think that's a possibility. His first year back after the arm injury, and maybe it's going to take him an extra year off, kind of go into another kind of rehab and weightlifting program in the offseason and come back, and maybe he'll be at 94 again.
Bring a good point. He doesn't need to be there, but if he can regain that velocity, all the better.
Al, you're talking about establishing the fastball, and you and I can remember days when, Dan, you saw it in spring training too, where guys are only allowed to throw fastballs the first couple of times out, and it was for the purpose of saying, you ought to be able to win with your fastball. The other stuff becomes put away pitches and domination pitches, but if you are a big league pitcher, you ought to be able to win by throwing fastballs where you want with movement.
And you can make it more than one pitch by changing location.
1-1 pitch in the dirt. Breaking ball kept in front by Yachty. No, we thought the Cardinals, for them to get in a position to get into postseason play with the 9 games they had at the time remaining with Houston and Chicago and 6 with the Astros of those 9, at least had to win 7. And they did that. And came very close to having an 8th win. Game in Chicago, and then Bud Norris shut him down. Harper on his way in, and it's 1-0, and that's fought off by Adam LaRoche as he'll score with a 2-out base hit into right center field. RBI number 99 for LaRoche.
Well, LaRoche has tied his career high in home runs with 32, but we're not accustomed to seeing drive in nearly 100 because he gets off to such a terrible start. That didn't happen this season, and he drives in. Bryce Harper, so 1 away from the century mark, and Washington takes that early lead.
Here's Michael Morse. You wonder how he hits in this stance with his arms extended, but he has got tremendous power. He, along with Brian LaHare, were lost in the Mariners system And now Morse has found a home with Washington. LaHare with the Chicago Cubs, an all-star earlier this year. Popped up. He's jammed a bit.
I got it.
Third baseman Carpenter puts it away. Adam LaRoche with his 99th RBI after a half inning. That's on top. St. Louis. Then Carpenter and Holiday, Craig Molina, Beltran, Descalso, Cosma, and the pitcher Adam Wainwright. Well, he was tremendous against St. Louis earlier this year. Enterprise Bank and Trust starter. And Rick, it's Edwin Jackson.
What's amazing about Edwin Jackson is he is a veteran, but he's only 28 years of age. He's been around a very long time at the big league level, played with multiple teams. And when he's good, he's really good. And we saw that last year as a Cardinal. He was a big part of the Cardinals' success. And part of being good is when he's commanding his fastball and then has the short, sharp slider. That's where he picks up his strikeout.
He must have been very good in his outing against St. Louis because he was dominant. 8 innings, shutout baseball, no walks, and struck out 10.
Al, can you tell me why this guy, not John Jay, but Edwin Jackson, has bounced around as much as he has with the kind of arm and electric stuff that at times we see displayed?
Yeah, it's a little hard to believe because I remember way back when he started with the Dodgers talking to Honeycutt one winter. Rick Honeycutt said, "I love this guy." And then he got traded. A couple times he's been traded at the trade deadline.
Up the middle, base hit, John Jay. Let's meet the defense of the Washington Nationals with Morse, Harper, and Worth and Wright. Zimmerman, Desmond, Espinosa, and Adam LaRoche. Kurt Suzuki, they picked him up to help stop the running game. We'll see if that is a factor this weekend series. And there's a look at Davey Johnson. What a job he's done.
Yeah, he's very happy with his club. He does not believe they have any holes. He really likes talking to him before the game. His players up the middle, both the shortstop Desmond and Espinosa, they could be around a very long time. They've been very good defensively, and they're kind of coming into their own as major league players.
Yeah, they're going to keep on growing as offensive players, and they're not bad now.
On the defensive side, what we saw in Washington was almost a nightmare out of the third baseman Ryan Zimmerman. So we'll watch for that in this series, guys. He's got a problem throwing. He just can't, after his arm injury, get a good solid throw across the diamond.
For anybody that likes golf, and all three of us do, and Al knows this better than anybody with me, sometimes you can get the yips. And Ryan Zimmerman's got the yips throwing the ball across the diamond.
Yeah, I noticed that he has 18 errors, and this is a former Gold Glove winner.
Great glove man. And in that series, Al, Rick and I were there, and you were in Europe, so obviously you didn't see it. But
I want to tell you something.
Well, hold on. Let me
I
finish
watched
now.
you in Paris.
Oh, did you really?
I watched you guys,
You
and
couldn't
I
find
saw.
something better to do than that?
Well, it was about
kidding.
4 in the morning, but
You have issues, huh, Bill?
I did remember seeing and hearing you guys talk about his throwing problem.
If he had a really tough play, if he had to backhand a play,
Right,
or ranging far to his left and quickly get rid of it, almost as if he didn't have to think, he made the play.
the routine play, it's almost painful to watch him throw. And you don't wish that on anybody.
No, because you wonder right now what's going through his mind on every single pitch.
There's a lot of people in Cardinal Nation are wishing it right now.
Here's a 2-1 pitch. Carpenter takes it high and away. Matt Holliday on deck. We hope at some point this weekend we'd see David Freese, but tonight it's Matt Carpenter.
Talked to David before the game, feeling much better, more baseball activity today. I said, what about tomorrow? And he wasn't real affirmative about that, but I think we'll see him sometime this weekend.
And that's a walk, so the first two have raced.
And you asked earlier about the bouncing around of Edwin Jackson, and this is kind of the problems that he can get himself into. Give up a hit, then walk Carpenter in front of Matt Holliday. I mean, that's the kind of thing that leads to a big inning. In his career, Jackson is a below 500 pitcher. But what teams see as they get into a pennant race is a guy who has a big upside, so they overpay for him, and that's why he doesn't end up staying on a team very long.
Holliday at an even 100 driven in this year. We saw last weekend in Chicago, the back was really bothering him. He had some awkward swings while in Houston. Day off yesterday, and let's see if that helps him tonight. Right now, you can't get this guy out of the lineup, and Mike Matheny has made it clear he is going to push until things are wrapped up. If the Cardinals would go with the remaining 6 games and win 3 of them, LA would have to win out just to force a playoff with St. Louis to get into the wild card playoff, then to get in the division series.
You know, Mike Matheny's saying win 4. Do it yourself. Don't rely on anybody else. And speaking of 4, that's how many games that Matt Holliday's missed this year. Played in 152 of 156.
Center fielder is Bryce Harper, playing very deep, gap into left center. The 2-0 pitch to Holliday. Chops it left side, deep in the hole, and safe at second. Carpenter pounding the ground and hustling all the way. The bases are loaded and nobody out.
And that play is made possible long before that throw. It's getting a good jump off of first base with nobody holding you on. Very close play at second base goes the Cardinals' way. Carpenter, not the fastest Cardinal, but he really runs the bases well. Good instinct, plays hard.
Secondary lead paid off right there. And clearly he was safe, and that call goes the Cardinal way. And boy, wouldn't it be nice? Cardinals already down 1-0, but how about the jump out on top right here in the first?
This is the guy you want at the plate. .398 average. Second now in Major League Baseball in batting average with runners in scoring position. Craig rips it out to left. This game at least tied. And Oquendo will hold up Matt Carpenter at third. RBI number 90 for Alan Craig. And the bases are loaded. Still nobody out. And here's Molina.
Craig has 90 RBIs in 114 plus this game here. Just tremendous production. And he was ready for that pitch. He delivers once again. Ties this ball game, and with nobody out, a little bit conservative for Oquendo, and rightfully so, with another RBI man coming up.
So bases loaded. Molina on the year batting .320 overall. With 21 home runs, he's driven in 72. Yachty taps one towards third. Off the corner, Zimmerman. Everybody's safe, and the Cardinals have the lead. It's 2-1. Nightmare of a start here in the bottom of the first defensively for Washington.
Well, they already thrown to the wrong base, and then Zimmerman can't come up with a one-hopper at third base with Molina chopping that ball to third. He tried to play that off to the side. Not sure if he was thinking about the throw, maybe a little early too. Where am I going to go with this ball? Certainly could have gotten an out. Ball just pops out of his glove.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing. I had a conversation with the pitching coach, Steve McCaddy, right now, and we were talking about Edwin Jackson. And one thing he said about him is, you know, he's a great teammate. He'll go out and he'll take a pounding. He'll take one for the team. Now, the September baseball and all the call-ups, you don't expect him to take one for the team. But isn't that interesting? If this was earlier in the season, maybe he would be going to ultimately take one for the team. You got to pile on and add on right now.
We saw him do that in Milwaukee last year as a Cardinal.
Yes,
had one of those.
I told him.
Oh,
I said,
man.
yeah, we saw it too.
Time is called. Beltran at the plate with the bases loaded. He owns 10 grand slams. By the way, Molina does get an RBI on that play.
I thought they could have given him a hit.
Strike one on Beltran.
We've noted a lot of first ball hitting out of Carlos as he's not been swinging the bat very well the last couple of weeks. He's trying to jump on that first pitch he sees. And we saw him in batting practice today, and it's just batting practice, but he hit some bombs today.
One ball, one strike on Beltran.
Mike Bethine's been trying to do everything he can, resting, trying to spell him here and there, trying to get him straightened out. And boy, if we can get him like he was in the first half, he got something going again.
1-2. The air for Zimmerman, number 19 this year. That's tops on the club. Beltran in the hole, 1-2. Washington still playing for something as well, as they are 4 games in front of Atlanta to win the division. They're sure to go to postseason play, but the Braves have been awfully hot.
They've got a chance to have home field advantage.
Exactly. 2-2 the count. That area is getting treated as some postseason baseball upcoming, not just with the Nationals, but also Baltimore. Their magic number is at 3 to get into postseason.
Nationals a good story. Baltimore an even better story of the kind of season that they put together out of nowhere.
The nation's capital has not seen October postseason baseball since 1933.
Bases loaded, the 3-2. Tapped foul. Ironically enough, the last time they've even seen a winning team in that area, Davey Johnson was at the helm of the Orioles back in 1997. That's the last time Baltimore was above 500, and Davey was the skipper then.
And manager of the year that year.
Almost every time he's managed, his team either finishes first or second.
This crowd ready to explode here in the bottom of the first. We'll do it again. Bases loaded, 3-2 pitch. And that's a walk to Beltran. And the Cardinals have a lead of 3-1. RBI number 92 for Carlos. and still nobody out. 2 walks in the inning, an error, 2 base hits.
Perhaps a small thing to point out, but that's the location of pitches that Carlos Beltran has been fishing for of late. And I think a lot of times guys expand their zone when their lower half is not healthy. They're just not as balanced, and he has been struck out a number of times with pitches that were low in the strike zone.
Here's Descalso swinging a much better bat. Every day he's in the lineup, and he's not having to guess where he's going to play. It's at second base, and they've got a nice combination defensively with Descalso and the man on deck, Pete Kozma. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Wainwright has been given a 2-run lead at least. You would expect more with the bases loaded, nobody out. One pitch.
Rick, how long does Davey Johnson go with his starter?
Good question. As you mentioned, he's got a lot of people out in that bullpen to help him out with, and you don't want to get him buried here in September either when you're starting to think about playing meaningful games a couple of weeks from now. And he may be one of your choices.
The 2-1 pitch. A check swing did not go. 3-1. So Daniel can be awfully selective here.
They're accustomed to seeing first inning troubles, and they're trying. He's got 9 wins, Edwin Jackson, and if he can pick up a victory here tonight, they would have all 5 of their starters in double figures.
Here's a 3-1 pitch. Descalso with a high fly ball into deep right center field. Harper is back and on the track makes the catch. All 3 tag up. Aggressive base running, RBI for Descalso. That's number 25. And the Cardinals have a 4-1 lead here in the first.
A very productive out for Daniel Descalso. Some don't like Cardinals swinging at 3-1 pitches, but if you can do this, if you can advance everybody, I'll trade an out for an extra run. You got Bryce Harper, who has good speed and a good arm in center, but even Carlos Beltran is able to tag and get to second base.
In my mind, the 3-1 count is the most desirable for a hitter. The only thing you ask is to get a pitch you can drive. And obviously hitting that ball to the warning track in right center, he got a pitch to drive.
The corners are in, and here is Pete Kozma. A tough game the other night. Aaron 3 strikeouts. And he takes a ball down and in.
The homer in Hungarian.
Tell me about it here, Al. Where's he from?
Well, his family's roots are from Hungary.
There you go.
And I thought he was from Oklahoma.
I did too, and that's where I was trying to lead out.
Bypass. There's a little bypass in Tulsa, but
the home run Hungarian.
So you guys are tight.
Via Tulsa. I saw something on you, Al, that made me crack up the other day. I was watching MLB Network.
Yes, sir.
And they were talking about colorful players, and they have a show called Prime 9. So they take a look at 9 different aspects of whatever it might be. Home runs, playing first base. Well, yours was colorful characters. And it was your famous night at Dodger Stadium, in which you had some baseballs that you threw out and didn't use.
Bob Engel
Yes,
created
sir.
that.
Oh, you had nothing to do with it.
I had nothing to do with it.
So he made the top 9.
He was number 2.
On a couple of those lists. Not all of them are good.
Oh, I can give you a few more.
Okay, I got to ask who number 1 was. I got to ask.
I don't remember.
Was
I
it
knew
Fidrich, maybe?
No.
More colorful than Al.
It was more about not just the flair of the individual, but also the instant aspect of what they did that night, if you will. The incident. See if they have him take another strike on 3-1. Pitcher on deck. They let him swing away.
Right choice.
I didn't think there was any way they would have him take, but Mike Matheny's hoping that he'll be disciplined enough and not swing at a ball. That ball was probably too close, but it was up and in a little bit.
3-2 hit off the end of the bat. Shallow center, gets down. It's a base hit for Kozma. 5-1 Cardinals. Molina scores. A bloop single for Pete Kozma, and that's RBI number 9 for the Cardinals shortstop. And the Redbirds have put up 5 here in the bottom of the first. And it's still first and third and only 1 out.
Now, Pete only hit in the 230s at Memphis, but he led the ball club AAA affiliate in RBIs. And he's done a real nice job getting this playing time here. And I was talking with Kozma before the game, and I said, pitchers here have better command. They're in the strike zone. They have better defense, but sometimes you'll find guys have a good time hitting here until they find a weakness.
Now it's Wainwright. Runners at first and third, 1 down. Double play ball. It's hit to short, out at second, and out at first. The Cardinals have a big inning. 2 walks, 3 base hits, 5 runs. 5-1 St. Louis. Postseason on Fox and TBS, and the excitement begins October 5th with the wild card on TBS. Believe it or Nat. First bank, first take. Expos Nats all-time most wins in a season, and 2012 Davey Johnson, as we've alluded to, guys thought that this would be a very good team. It is, and they've got a chance for a 100-win campaign.
He staked his reputation on it. He said, I'm leaving if we don't win.
Fire me if we don't win.
And he backed it up.
Davey usually does. Not afraid to make brash statements, and then he backs them up.
A fastball to Ian Desmond underway here in the top of the second. A different look now to this game. The Cardinals leading 5-1 after an inning of play. Desmond, their shortstop, Espinosa, the second baseman on deck, and then Suzuki, their catcher.
Where was that pitch?
Looked pretty good. I'm with you, Hungo. Keep an eye on the Dodgers later tonight. There's a single up the middle. Good example, Al, when you don't get that call And you come back in just ever so slightly over the middle of the plate, and these guys at this level, they don't miss.
Now it changes the complexion. Hitter feels more hitterish, and that ball right in the middle of the plate and should have been hit hard.
The Dodgers, it's back to Chavez Ravine. They've got 6 to go. Colorado is in for the first 3, and then their rival San Francisco. Rockies have had a terrible season, just 62 wins. Little flare out to shallow left. Holiday coming on to make the catch. Milwaukee has Houston tonight. And Houston in the top of the 3rd, leading Milwaukee 1-0. Really a devastating loss for the Brewers yesterday. With their closer Axford in, they've got a 1-run lead. You think we're going to win this game, and who knows what happens, and bam, things change in a hurry.
I was going to say another 9th inning blown save, and think about it, Rick. You know, Milwaukee is at home, and they have Astros for 3,
right?
And then they have San Diego. Not San Diego playing at home; they're playing on the road in Milwaukee. So they're 4 back of the Cardinals, but they're very much still in it.
Well, you said it in the open. I think it's absolutely right. If you're the Cardinals, you can't. You're going to look at the scoreboard. It's human nature, and you're certainly going to look at it when the game is over. But if you're relying on the Astros and the Padres to do your work for you, you're thinking wrong. You've got to take care of it yourself, and maybe hope that the Astros will win 1 out of 3, and maybe the Padres the same. But you got to take care of business yourself.
No doubt about it.
That Astro team, by the way, it was hard to watch that. And they've named their new manager, third base coach Bo Porter, for the Nationals. He's still working for the Nationals, still flashing the signs here today in St. Louis, but he is the next manager of the Houston Astros in 2013.
1-0 pitch.
Good luck.
And you find that
you're going to need it.
You find that a little weird that he already has a job with another team, and he's
here.
And he's here. I mean, baseball normally doesn't do that.
Well, you would think that he'd want to be there and to get a read on the last 6 games and see what he does have with the Astros. So I don't understand that.
You'll see it in college where a head coach will jump ahead to the pros or vice versa, and they'll stick with their team for that season because it's done late in the year like this, but not in baseball.
You don't see it, and you wonder, couldn't they have named the manager without telling anybody?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, just wait till the season's over.
Here's a 1-2 pitch to Kurt Suzuki with 1 out, runner at first. Got him. Strikeout for Wainwright. His 2nd tonight.
Appears right now that maybe that slider is as effective, if not more effective, than the curveball. Sometimes Adam has a tendency to throw so many curves and cutters, sliders, that when he relies on the fastball, it's just not there.
And I've wondered if that's what we've seen a bit from Wainwright in the decreased velocity this year. Yeah, there was a time early in the season where he was throwing a bit harder, and I don't really think he's arm weary. He says he's not, and I believe him. But throwing in so many cutters throughout the course of a season, he's also experimenting with a forkball.
One ball and 1 strike.
Was a belief at one time that you would have to throw 75% fastballs to maintain your velocity. And I know a lot of times now they count the cutter as still a fastball, but
1-2. 4-seam, 2-seam, the cutter, changeup, curveball, slider, knuckleball, forkball. We think we've seen it all from Wainwright at some point, sometime.
Sounds like Ryan Franklin.
Man, oh man. It was in that start against Washington in which Wainwright was roughed up. A couple of pitches, we thought he was tinkering with a knuckleball potentially. Had a very odd look to it.
Well, you remember that one high throw he threw? I think that was experimenting with the splitter.
Well, one of the reasons he's throwing the splitter is that he is really struggling with his changeup. Now, that's not a pitch that he uses a lot, but what he has said is, I'm having the worst time throwing my changeup slow enough. The ball's just jumping out of my hand, and it should be 9 or 10 miles an hour slower, and it's only about 6 or 7, so it's getting hit. So I'm trying to all kinds of grip to just kind of take a little bit more off my pitch to give it more separation.
And I always thought that it's easy to throw spread your fingers, throw the splitter with diminished velocity, and at the very least you had a successful changeup.
Runner goes on 3-2 with 2 down, and it's fouled back by Jackson, and we've talked about it. He is an athlete. Good pitcher. He was a very good athlete in high school, multi-sport star, and as we saw in his return to the National League with St. Louis, he can hit. He can swing the bat.
Batting .236.
We'll do it again on 3-2. Taps it foul.
And if it wasn't for Daniel Descalzo and John Jay, he may have had an opportunity to make the last out of a World Series a year ago. He may have been the hitter, not Kyle Loesch, had Descalzo and John Jay not reached base to extend the inning, in an inning we remember very well.
3-2 pitch again, and he walked him. High school football continues this week, and tonight, right now, we're streaming Eureka and Marquette, East St. Louis at O'Fallon, Park Hill South at Lee's Summit West on FoxSportsMidwest.com. Tomorrow on television, right here on Fox Sports Midwest, Bommarito Automotive Prep Zone football schedule will replay East St. Louis and O'Fallon.
Not a good idea to walk the pitcher, especially with Jason Worth coming up here. Not your prototypical leadoff hitter.
2 on and 2 out. Remember, this guy started out as a catcher, so not your prototypical looking catcher. He can play center field. He's played on the infield. He's a right fielder now for Washington. Signed a huge contract to leave Philly.
He's missed a ton of time with injury. And last year, his first year with the Nationals got off to a very slow start, but still had 20 home runs. This year, only 5 home runs, but 20 doubles in just 77 games.
Mike Rizzo thought he'd be the perfect complement at this time, ready for postseason play, to some of those youngsters. Out to deep right, and going back, making the catch, Beltran on the track. The Nationals strand 2, 5-1 St. Louis. .com. And get the All-American Jack Combo at Jack in the Box. It's a no-nonsense burger with fries and a drink for only $4.99 plus tax at participating stores. Beautiful night for baseball. Rick Gordon, Dan McLaughlin, Al Rabosky with you. As Edwin Jackson finishes up his warm-up tosses. 5-1 in favor of St. Louis. And Al, great to have you back. How was the trip to Europe?
That was great. Sensory overload. I think I got a degree in history.
Good.
Medieval history, seeing all the Roman ruins, castle after castle. I went down the, let's see, 4 rivers. The Rhine, the Main, the Danube, and I'm forgetting about the first one.
But you had fun.
I had a great time.
Good.
Great time. June survived her birthday.
Awesome. I'd like to hear that.
And I'm still allowed in the house.
I think I'm allowed. I'm going to be happy to hear that you're allowed in the house. Happy birthday to June.
She's not showing good judgment, but.
Well, that was a few years ago, Al. Now she's locked in. 0-2 here on John Jay. Speaking of birthdays, happy 70th birthday to Tom Parchomsky. His son works here at the ballpark. And Mr. Parchomsky, you can be very proud of your son. One of the real good people down here. And happy birthday to you. If you know Mr. Parchomsky, give him a call and tell him happy birthday.
I thought you were talking about Chomp at first.
Love
Your
Chomps.
son. Yeah, great guy. Boy, this is a tight strike zone. Same for both sides now.
Two to John Jay. Lines it into left center field. Harper will not get to this one. One hops off the wall. Jay to second. And the ball scoots away. He thought about heading to third, but he'll stop at second base. John Jay back home where he has been just a hitting machine, and he's 2 for 2 tonight.
Yeah, he's hit very well. He had a kind of a tough road trip, but he closed it out well. And here he's already 2 for 2. Well, we have a natural cycle. But left-handed hitter is going to slice away from Harper, and one hops the left center field wall.
So Jay 2 for 2. Here's Carpenter, who walked and scored back in the first. A 5-run first inning for St. Louis.
And I go back to Al's earlier question, how long do you stay with Edwin Jackson? Nobody getting loose yet. And you wouldn't think maybe yet there would be, but I don't know if you can go much longer if the Cardinals continue to get base runners against Edwin Jackson.
This will be pitch number 38 already. He's recorded just 3 outs. In the dirt, and it scoots away from Suzuki, who is noted for his glove, and in particular his arm. That's one of the big reasons they picked him up.
That's exactly why they got him. They were having the hardest time throwing anybody out with their 2 catchers, and so they brought Suzuki over, who's giving him something with the bat as well. But glove actually knocked off his hand as he tried to smother it. The ball just stayed low and scooted between his legs.
Bring the infield in. Great opportunity for the Cardinals to get another run here. Hopefully we just trade places.
And time is called by Suzuki.
Davey Johnson, who I competed against for many years, and is a very confident individual, and rightfully so. I mean, but I love the idea that his general manager, Mike Rizzo, comes in after every game to critique what goes on. And Davey welcomes that and says, whatever question you have, I'll have 10 reasons to explain my decision.
Holiday on deck, the 3-0 pitch, and nowhere close as Jackson was looking back at the mound. different look tonight because Edwin Jackson was sensational back on the 30th of August. 8 innings, 4 hits, a run. He struck out 10 that night.
With no walks, and he's walked Carpenter twice tonight.
And a total of 3 in the ball game. One of those a bases loaded walk to Beltran. And an RBI for Carlos, number 92, and now it's Holiday. Fielder's choice and a run scored back in the first. Runners at first and third. A strike to Holiday. Matt Gifford will be our guest coming up in the 3rd inning.
Congratulations to the Springfield Ball Club. Another championship.
Texas League champs. Oh-1 pitch off the end of the bat. 0-2. .22 out of 45 times. Runner at third, less than 2 outs. Suzuki blocked it. Throw down to second. Safe. Aggressive play again. The hustle of Matt Carpenter coming through to put him in scoring position. Remember, it was a forced play at second that he beat out, running from first back in the 1st inning.
You could see with this wild pitch, it gets away from Suzuki, but he makes it close with a strong throw. Sliding feet first ahead of the tag.
Wild pitches, most in the National League. Colorado, then Houston. Team tonight, Washington at 60. Infield is drawn back in. The 1-2. Right now, Edwin Jackson is nowhere close.
Yeah, that pitch was not even near the intended target on a 1-2 pitch. That is, when he's pitching well, a put-away pitch. That's the slider down and away, the curveball. Fastball with good movement down and in, but that pitch was not really a competitive pitch. So now he's back even with a pretty dangerous hitter in Holiday.
The 2-2. Holiday hits it sharply to short. Throw to first. They got him. 2 runners advance. 1 scores. That's John Jay. Carpenter advancing from second to third. Just a rocket to Ian Desmond.
And 101st RBI for Holiday. Couple wild pitches. So no chance for a double play. And then with that bobble right there, Carpenter is able to advance to third as Jay scores.
Aggressive base running all the way around. Cardinals look fast tonight. They're playing at a much higher rate of speed than we saw the last time they were here at home.
Craig with a runner at third base. Allen came up back in the first with nobody out, bases loaded, single to left, then came around to score. Average has jumped to a season best now, 403, with runners in scoring position.
You mentioned Suzuki's a very good catcher and well known for being a good receiver, and was leading the American League in caught stealing percentage, but he's boxing a lot of pitches from Jackson, which to me is an indication of Jackson not hitting his spots. It's not Suzuki having a bad day, it's Jackson doesn't know where the ball's going.
The 2-0 pitch. Even there, kind of stabbing at it a little bit.
Makes for a long night for a catcher, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And it's not like he's has terrific movement. The ball is just moving so much.
Finally some stirring around in the bullpen for the Nationals. They've got a number of left-handers in their bullpen.
They got one of them up. Here's another ball that almost gets by Suzuki.
Almost as if he's getting crossed up. He's expecting a fastball down and away, and it sinks in, and I don't know, maybe he's having a rough night too.
Two veterans, you'd think they'd be on the same page.
Same page, different books.
3-1 pitch. Craig lines it out to left. That'll drop in for a base hit. And scoring is Matt Carpenter. Craig with RBI number 91. The Cardinals have opened up a 7-1 lead.
Just marvel at Alan Craig and his production. Ball inside a little bit, bites it off, but strong enough to muscle it out to left field. Carpenter wasn't sure whether it's going to carry enough to be caught, but either way he scores. 2 RBIs for Alan Craig tonight. 91 in what, 114 games?
Outside shot getting to 100 before it's all said and done in 5 months of play. Out to deep left. Will it carry out of here? It's gone. Into the bullpen it goes. Yachty with a 2-run shot. His 22nd. And Molina has given the Cardinals a 9-1 lead. They better start getting loose in a hurry out there in that bullpen.
May not want to come in the way the Cardinals are swinging the bat. Yachty just keeps on adding new career highs in home runs, RBIs, so many different offensive categories. And he's put his name in consideration for the MVP.
I think he is the MVP. I really do. I mean, I know his numbers won't add up to some of the others.
I know he won't be voted as it, but
I agree with you. But what he does for this team and this franchise, and watching him day in and day out, what he means defensively, which is what so many times is overlooked. He might be the best player in the game right now in certain ways.
And not only is he a solid offensive performer, he's a couple of he can do it 2 different ways. We saw him go to right field 3 times in one game against Houston. He can be that guy. But if you throw a pitch on the inner half, he'll turn on it. He doesn't look to hit home runs like he just did, but he certainly can do it if the pitch is right.
It's fun to watch.
Orsolani is the lefty warming up.
And now it's Carlos Beltran. Well, you guys started the positive thoughts for Edwin Jackson. What if he would take a beating tonight? And now we look up and it's 9-1. So what do you guys think about tomorrow's starter?
He's thinking that right now.
McCaddy gave me the idea.
Well, let's get his thoughts on the starter tomorrow. Jordan Zimmerman.
Well, that's going to be a little tougher.
Right now they're all smiles as Wainwright has been given, to this point, an 8-run lead.
He's got to concentrate on putting up zeros. That's a very good offensive club, and with a lot of time left, don't take them lightly.
And you know, Al, the 9-1 lead may force Wainwright to do what we want him to do, which is establish his fastball. That's right.
Well, you want him to pitch his game. You know, just in his mind, it's got to be a 1-run lead.
3-1 pitch. And it's a walk to Beltran, and that may be it. Second walk in the inning, and the 4th overall, and Edwin Jackson, his night is through. "56 pitches. Davey Johnson has to go to his bullpen. And last time we saw Edwin Jackson at this ballpark, all smiles and a celebration. A little less than a year after that, he gets roughed up tonight. MLB.com, @bat12. Text @bat to 31826. MLB.tv, where baseball is everywhere. So the 9 runs tonight, the most since the 1st of September at Washington. That was the game started by Kyle Loesch and Jordan Zimmerman.
And the recipe was the same that night. Jay and Carpenter got on base at the beginning of the Cardinal lineup, and the middle of the order drove him in. Freese and Holiday with home runs in that game. And the Cardinals had 14 hits against Zimmerman.
And we've seen this guy, Al, before. That's our Chevy call to the pen, Tom Gorzolani.
See him tough was he came up through the Pirates system and to the big leagues. July of last season, they moved him from the rotation to the bullpen, and he's done a pretty good job for the Nationals. And since May 1st, 36 appearances, has a 2.30 ERA out of the pen.
So his record overall at 4-2, 55 strikeouts and just over 65 innings, and he's walked 26. Opponents hitting .244 against this lefty. Where Davey Johnson really likes his team, not just the everyday lineup, but then you look at their bullpen. Sean Burnett, very good lefty coming out of the pen. And then the back end of games, they've got essentially 2 closers in Clippard and Storen. Storen right now is the closer, so to speak, where Clippard would be the setup man, but they've been role reversal a couple different times. There's a double play, 4-6-3. Matt Gifford, the VP and GM of the Texas League champions. Springfield Cardinals will be our guest. All St. Louis here tonight. It's 9-1 after 2. At Busch Stadium, they just made the announcement that the Cardinals again this season, 9th consecutive year, they have drawn over 3 million fans and will finish up on Wednesday night roughly over 3.2 million. And the same could be said, not quite in terms of 3 million plus, but of great fan support. Springfield, Missouri. And joining us now, the VP of that club and Senior Vice President as well, Matt Gifford. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. It's glad to be here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what your club went through. A championship, Texas League championship. A lot of excitement, obviously, with Springfield.
I'll tell you, the staff that they, John Mozeliak and John Vooch and the baseball operations department put in Springfield was amazing. Mike Schilt, a first-time manager, did a great job. Brian Eversgerd, Philip Wellman. Phillips, the hitters, they led the league again in hitting. It's just amazing what they did for the young men that were there. We had a rough first half, but battled back with a 10-game losing streak, ended up winning the second half and winning the Texas League championship.
This is Bryce Harper, 1 ball and 1 strike, and then describe a little bit the excitement at the end of the season. That must have been just electric in Springfield.
It was amazing. I mean, honestly, we have the best fans, and because they're Cardinal fans, it's just so amazing how they're the best fans in minor league baseball. I want to thank them personally for the support that we get over the last 8 years, and it was great to bring home a championship for them.
Taken for a ball on the outside corner. Now, Bryce Harper is 19 in the big leagues, but a lot of the guys that are at AA are 19, 20, 21, if not a little bit older. And there's a couple of guys that we probably need to bring up. Number one would be Oscar Taveras. And Oscar, looking at his numbers, in 124 games, the outfielder hit .321, 23 home runs, and 94 RBIs. You've been down there for some time now. Where does he rank as far as some of the great players that you've seen come through AA?
He's one of the best. I mean, he was the Texas League Player of the Year. His swing is amazing. He can flat out hit. His defense got better and better all year long. I'm glad that he stayed in AA all year, and it's going to be great for his development as a 20-year-old.
Harper is hustling down the line and out. Wainwright covering the bag at first, and let's take a look before the game. There's Matt with the trophy. Big smile, obviously, on your face. How about some of the other individuals there that you saw?
Yeah, that's 49 pounds, by the way. It's I was faking my smile because it's awfully heavy, but it's a special trophy. You can see it's a little dirty. We still haven't cleaned it from the celebration. I think the fans really like seeing all the champagne that we had on it, so we probably need to get that cleaned up.
Probably, but still, you got the trophy, so don't worry about it.
We do.
You got plenty of time to clean it up in the off season.
The Texas League dates back to 1888 when the Dallas Hams won the championship, which is kind of funny. And all the names of the championships are listed on it, so it's kind of cool to have the Springfield Cardinals now. This is the first professional championship for baseball in Springfield in over 70 years, which is pretty special for the town. And again, like I said, we've got great fans. We can't wait to have a super year next year celebrating the championship here in 2012.
1 out and a 2-0 pitch is popped foul and out of play. Matt Gifford, the VP and GM of the Springfield Cardinals, is with us. What about Colton Wong? We've heard a lot about the second baseman. Tell us a little bit about him.
I'm telling you, defensively, he's probably the best second baseman I've seen come through. It's amazing how a young man from Hawaii, he really adjusted to the league. He got tired a little bit in the middle, but he finished strong. I can't say enough great things about the prospects we've got.
John Jay is back. He won't get to this one. At one hops off the wall. And Ryan Zimmerman is into second base, standing up.
We talk about all the time is, our number one goal at the ballpark is to have fun in minor league baseball. And you come and you see. But the other thing we talk about is seeing the future of Cardinals baseball. And 23 former Springfield Cardinals helped St. Louis win the World Championship last year.
23, huh?
23 of them. And again, 5 of them are on the roster or playing today in the active lineup. And that's something that I know our fans are really proud of, seeing that future. And that's something, again, the credit goes to Mr. DeWitt and John Mozeliak and John Vooch and all that baseball operations department that pushes these guys, that develops them, and you can see the winning breeding, and winning breeds winning, and that's what's so great about what they were able to do this year in Springfield.
It's taken low and away by LaRoche, who has an RBI single. At that time, he gave Washington a 1-0 lead, and there's John Mozeliak on the right, and
Mike
Mr.
Gersh. Yep, and then right in the middle is Mike Schultz. And again, it's amazing. I told people in town, I said, if he's half as good of a manager as he is a person, we're going to be awfully good. And we were awfully good, and he is a great person. And it's amazing not only the baseball that he teaches them, but the work they did off the field on trying to develop their character and really develop them to understand what the fans mean to us, how it's, how you're supposed to act as a person. I think you've spent some time with Trevor Rosenthal, a guy that went straight from our team all the way to the big club. Sam Freeman, what a quality guy he is. That's really important, and both of those guys played on our team this year. So I think that goes a long way at showing that not only are we trying to develop guys, but Oscar's a guy they put into Spanish classes or English classes to work on trying to make sure he can communicate better.
Pretty well hit out to left, and backing up Holiday on the track with room and makes the catch. Zimmerman tags up from second to third. Your facility, for being a minor league park, and we say it's minor league, but it's as good as any park in the country. We have to classify it. It is AA minor league baseball. But when you think about that baseball facility, it really is second to none.
It is amazing. It's a mini Busch Stadium is what it is. We call it a mini Busch Stadium experience. If you come down, let's say you can't get to spring training to see the prospects, well, come down to Springfield. It's a 3-hour drive. It's an easy drive. I'm going to do it again tonight. I know my kids are excited. I got to get back to sell some popcorn for Boy Scouts tomorrow. But it's just amazing how you can see the guys develop, become part of that Cardinal Nation, and really feel it. We're the Springfield Cardinals for a reason, because our fans are Cardinal fans. They wear red to the ballpark just like you see it here at Busch Stadium, and it's just a special way. It's very inexpensive, and the value I think you get at Hammons Field is second to none.
2 outs and a runner at third. The 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball catches the corner to Michael Morse, who popped out his first time up. If you're just joining us, the Cardinals scored 5 in the first, 4 in the second. 6 base hits. They knocked out Edwin Jackson. And in the booth with us is the VP and GM Matt Gifford of the Springfield Cardinals. They won the Texas League Championship. Swing and a miss. Strikeout for Waino. That's his third of the night. Always good to see you, my friend.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, congratulations. That's Matt Gifford, Parkway West graduate, we should mention as well. 9-1 St. Louis. Day, guys. All right, thank you, Pat. We'll keep an eye on that and get you updated if he makes history. Here in this ball game, it's Cosma, Wainwright, and Jay for St. Louis. Pete Cosma is 1 for 1. RBI single. That was back in the first inning, and the Cardinals have a lead of 9-1. And he lines out. And that's how we start play here in the home half of the third. It steps Wainwright, who grounded into a 6-4-3 double play his first time up. Christina Mabry from Poplar Bluff never misses a broadcast. And watching tonight, Christina Mabry never misses our games on Fox Sports Midwest. We appreciate her support. There's a strike to Adam Wainwright. One ball and one strike. Nice to visit, guys, with Matt Gifford.
Done a tremendous job down there in Springfield.
One and two. Signing players down there say that Oscar Taveras right now could be a major league player as a hitter. Still working on his defense. As Wainwright pops it foul. He's played right field as well as center field.
Michael Wacha, the closer, they talk about him being a once every 10 years type player coming through the AA system. There's a guy that we're going to come to know and love very soon, I think. Number 1 pick this year. He throws hard and was a big part of that Texas League championship.
One of the reasons you draft college kids, they're that much closer, but they feel that he really is on accelerated pace. Earlier this year, pitching, was it Texas A&M?
Yeah.
And then find himself pitching at AA. That's pretty good progression.
My understanding is he's very unassuming, very intelligent, adjusts well, and is lights out with his fastball with good movement.
2 down and nobody on. Gorzolani has come into this ball game, got a double play to end the bottom of the second, and the first 2 here in the bottom of the third. Colton Wong is down at AA. The Cardinals excited about him. Defensively, they say he is ready to play at this level. Right. Not sure yet with the bat. And you're talking, Al, about the progression of Wacha. They say with Colton Wong, by him signing right away, pretty much knowing what the value was there, not going back and forth too much with money, but getting involved in pro baseball made a big difference for him. Zimmerman, ooh, watch out. Wow. Does not look comfortable at all. We're through 3, and it's 9-1 St. Louis. So it's a 9-1 lead for St. Louis in the top of the 4th. Tommy is our director tonight. Brian McCann, our producer. Not much gets them riled up. Here's a ground ball. Descalso to his left. Now we have seen Descalso now having a position every night. He knows he shows up at the ballpark. There's not a lot of shifting. And, you know, we say all the time, well, a guy should be ready to play. And it's cliche. It does add a little ease to what he's doing night in and night out.
And we saw the second base, kind of a revolving door there. But Descalso always knew he had the solid glove, but his offense was lacking. And now that he's playing more consistent, the offense is picking up and the glove's always there.
And what I'm most happy about is you get a look at Espinosa at Al, as well as taking his trip, decided to join Twitter. And Rick and Al are accepting tweets as we speak. Al didn't find that funny. I guess he's not on Twitter.
I didn't find that funny.
You got the evil eye there.
Yeah.
You've seen that.
Some things never change, Dan.
So I guess you're not going to go on Twitter.
No.
We'll find out if there's history made, not with Al being on Twitter, but if there was a no-hitter recorded after this out in Cincinnati. Cardinals about hit Washington 6-4. And that's a swing and a miss. Let's check in with Pat Paris. Was history made, Pat? So congratulations to Bailey, and we've seen, Rick, that at times his stuff can be just electric.
Yeah, he's been a mid-90s pitcher since he came to the big league. Still a young guy trying to find his way, but when he's good, he's really good. And clearly he had it working tonight against the Pirate Club that, boy, they just have to be so down right now.
They are going to, they're in trouble to try and get to 500. Be the 20th consecutive season if they don't almost play out the string.
They do now after tonight. They would have to win every game. 76 and 81.
Wow. Who would have thought? Wasn't that long ago there were 16 games over 500.
That's right. Right after the break, Beltran puts it away. Easy inning for Adam Wainwright. And there still are seats available. First 25,000 fans, 16 and older. Cardinals.com to get those picture frame tickets. Gorzolani still in the ball game, and Matt Carpenter will be the first hitter. By the way, if you're looking to get postseason tickets, the Cardinals want to make sure you know that that play-in game would be on Friday against Atlanta. And if they would win that, it's an off day, but then come right back at it in the afternoon on Sunday. And those games would be right here. We know that for sure.
Yeah, the first two games would be here. And then the next three would be, well, we won't need three. Just need two more. Or one more. One more victory is best 3 out of 5.
And so the Cardinals are making sure that fans know, don't wait, because those tickets are going fast and they will go very quickly. And many fans buy those in groups. So as those tickets go and the team advances, could be out of luck. So get them now. Available on the website. 9-1 lead as we play here in the bottom of the 4th. That's pulled foul.
Matt Carpenter's had a very solid season. You like the way he hangs in there against left-handed pitching. Very good eye, good on-base percentage, 2 walks today and 2 runs scored.
Off the mask of Suzuki. And in this ball game, the story for Washington, the lack of pitching. And speaking of pitching, a no-no for Cincinnati. Homer Bailey, 9 innings, no hits, walked 1. He strikes out 10, 115 the pitch count. Our ball game here, Edwin Jackson inning in a third, 9 runs, 8 of those were earned.
And you mentioned his pitch count, 52 pitches, Dan, only 25 for strikes. And he got half of his outs on a ground ball off the bat of Adam Wainwright.
Here's the 0-2. So Bob Gibson had been the last to no-hit Pittsburgh, and now Homer Bailey.
That was back in 1971 when Gibby threw the no-hitter in Pittsburgh.
A high fly ball to center field. Bryce Harper makes the catch.
Lonnie's done a nice job since coming in. Scored a little early, or a little controlled, but Cardinals with their 9 runs, that'll be tough to overcome.
Here's Holiday. He's 0 for 2. RBI and a run scored.
There's always 2 schools of thought when you come in following a start that Jackson had. You say, well, you know, these guys are hitting too well. I'm not sure I want to get in this game. And then the other side is they might be tired out. They might be done scoring. I might be able to just kind of bore them for 3 or 4 innings and get guys out and kind of help my standing out of the bullpen here. So either way, as a reliever, you know you're going to be in there for a while.
A 2-0 pitch to Holiday. Good rip, fouled back, and it's 2-1. Matchups for this weekend. Kyle Loesch going tomorrow, and Jordan Zimmerman going for Washington. You see in the top left portion of your screen, Houston leading Milwaukee 5-1. Lance Lynn, Ross Detweiler. Those 2 will hook up on Sunday. And then we'll see the Reds Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. The Cardinals have not announced their rotation. Things may change if things are wrapped up. Strikeout of Holiday. Remaining schedule. Mentioned the 2 left was Washington and then Cincinnati. The Brewers and Dodgers. Brewers trailing in their first game against Houston. They've got San Diego, and then the Dodgers, Colorado, and San Francisco.
And I'm anxious to see Dusty Baker on Monday.
How's he feeling?
Well, apparently he will rejoin the ball club on Monday, but Dusty was hospitalized in Chicago and suffered a mini stroke, but apparently he's feeling much better and will be okay.
He's got a tough line of work to have heart issues.
Oh boy.
Davey Johnson had a procedure, I think in January, for his heart. That gave him the clearance to manage this year.
Everybody's allowed.
It's getting tough, isn't it?
Yeah, and guys are allowed, folks are allowed, fans are allowed to think what they want about Dusty Baker and managers, and you're competing against the Davey Johnson and Dusty Baker, but they're really quality guys. Both of them are. Dusty can be very volatile at times. We've seen some of that. Davey Johnson doesn't seem like a guy that would be volatile, but if you get him riled a bit, he's got some fire to him too. But very calm demeanor normally.
Rope into center field and a base hit off the bat of Craig. And Alan Craig aboard again.
3 for 3 with a pair of RBIs for Alan Craig.
Missouri heads to Florida, and they will face Central Florida tomorrow on Fox Sports Midwest. So that's Missouri football tomorrow at 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Midwest.
Speaking of Davy Johnson and his volatile temper, apparently he got into a shouting match after a game with his general manager, and it was in the clubhouse. The door was closed, but they said all the players could hear it. And afterwards, Mike Rizzo said, yeah, I played along. It was trying to build up all the players and wanted them to all understand that Davey was defending them and on their side. But, you know, GMs and managers can have a little spat, and it really doesn't mean anything. It's just their emotions get the best of them sometimes.
Yeah, Johnson's version of that was, yeah, we do that every night. It just so happens that somebody heard it this time.
2-0 on Molina. And much of that frustration concerning the future of Steven Strasburg at that time and the conversation that those two had. And I'll ask the two that are up here in the booth with me. I'll start with you, Al. What's your thoughts on shutting him down?
You know, the game's changed so much, and now you think of long term. You think of a player's health. And in my era, you know, if you hurt your arm in an effort to win a championship, it was worth it if you got the ring. But, you know, there was not the money that is available today. So I think it's a double-edged sword, and they know what they're doing. So I'll just let them manage their ball club. I'm not qualified.
Yeah, you're qualified. Everybody's qualified.
Well, you can have an opinion.
Thoughts. Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, how Chris Medlin was dealt with his Tommy John. The Braves had him out of the bullpen for the first 4 months before putting him in the rotation. And Davy Johnson said that's, you know, he totally disagrees with that way of thinking.
See, I like to get you riled up on these particular issues, Al. This is where I really like it, because you do have strong opinions about guys being shut down, and I would bet that you probably are none too pleased as a baseball fan seeing him shut down. I know as a fan, I'd love to watch him.
Yeah, as a baseball fan, I'd love to see him pitch against the Cardinals and see how talented he is. I asked Davy Johnson before the game to kind of compare him with, you know, a 19-year-old Doc Gooden.
And he's done that. He said they're both right there.
Well, the one thing he said is Strasburg is so much more advanced because he has, you know, change-ups and he has other pitches that, and he said that Gooden, you could steal off of him. You couldn't score off him, but you could steal second and third and then be stranded. But he said Strasburg is really refined in so many different ways that he's got the change-up and things that counteract when he doesn't have the curveball or fastball going. And he can control the base running game.
I think as a fan, you want to see Strasburg because how good he is, and the Nationals haven't had a chance to be in the playoffs, and you know, you'd prefer to say, well, let's just wait and watch and see if he's breaking down first before we just call it based on innings. The other side of that is the news that came out in Washington that their insurance policy on him would be voided if he pitched more than a certain number of innings. And that's the real bottom line.
Bases loaded and 2 outs. So for fans that don't know about that, again, what was the innings count? You know?
I don't know exactly the innings count, but that was part of the factor. And clubs will take out insurance on players, especially the ones that have big contracts. And if they get hurt, they basically can collect on that. And they won't do it on a lot of players, and they won't do it on all players, but they'll certainly do it on their bigger contracts. And it's just a kind of a standard operating procedure. But one of the things that came out in Washington is that part of what was going on with his contract was that the insurance had a particular stipulation in it related to how many innings.
Must have been 160.
Might have been.
And the last thing anybody wants to see is a fan of baseball. You want to see outstanding player, our pitcher, get hurt.
Here's a ground ball to the right side, and the Cardinals strand the bases loaded. St. Louis on top. It's 9-1. And let's take a look at it. Thank you, Pat, for the updates tonight. NL's second wild card. LA 3, Milwaukee 4, then Arizona and Philly 6. And that's our sub prize on the line. And we've got Steve Klein in the booth causing havoc up here. He was
Yes,
part of the
does.
Bush Bash tonight. No surprise that Steve would be causing issues up here in the booth.
All good, though. We love Steve Klein.
We love him, and keep that dump button close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Little tapper hit left side. The third baseman tonight, Carpenter, makes the play. And for more on that third base position and what's happening with David Freese, let's check in with Jim.
All right, David, still day-to-day after rolling that ankle on Monday just before game time in Houston. The good news is he did baseball-related activities today for the first time. He did some running, took some infield, and tested the ankle during BP. Freese says the ankle tender but improving. He says it's very frustrating to not be in there, but he says third base is in good hands with Matt Carpenter. As for Mike Matheny, he says he's hesitant to put a timetable on Freese's return, guys.
All right, thank you. And may not be the worst thing if the Cardinals can get into postseason play and give David Freese a few days off. Would rather be straight up to where it's an issue not with the leg, but just to give him time off as Jason Worth rounds out the short. Quickly, 2 down.
Sure is nice to have Matt Carpenter as a fill-in.
Really played well.
Played very well on that first ground ball with Bernardino, the pinch hitter, running. He's got great speed. And Carpenter's really shown that he can be a real force as a hitter.
That's how important your bench is, to have a player like Descalzo on your bench at times, Cosma at times, making the throw across the diamond, and also Matt Carpenter. If you don't have the urgency to have to rush a guy back too soon, it just makes all the difference in the world.
And Harper lines it into right center, and it drops in for a hit. Bryce Harper is aboard. Email the booth. Should Bryce Harper be considered for Rookie of the Year? Barry in Arnold, Missouri. Carsoup.com.
Definitely he's going to be considered. A lot of people will say he's one of the favorites.
So much hype surrounding Bryce Harper, all-star this year. Late pickup for the National League as Zimmerman takes a strike.
I'm not sure I would vote him. In fact, I wouldn't vote him for Rookie of the Year, but I'd vote him for the player I'd most want to have 5 years from now.
He's only 19 years of age. He's got 21 home runs. He's 2 for 3 tonight, so the average is right at 266 currently.
Well, I think we all know who will be the American League Rookie of the Year, and that's Trout.
That one's easy.
That one's pretty easy.
No debate on that one.
Some people are saying he's going to be the MVP. And how could he be an MVP with Cabrera being a Triple Crown winner?
There's a real legitimate shot that that's going to happen for Miguel Cabrera of the Tigers. He's right now one back in home runs of Josh Hamilton. He is 8 in front of Hamilton for RBIs.
And Hamilton's not playing yet, right?
He has come back.
He has come back?
Yes. And Cabrera is ahead of Joe Mauer of the Twins. Miguel Cabrera at 326 and Mauer at 323. Forced play at second. Mauer, by the way, trying to pick up his 4th batting title. Not too shabby. 9-1 St. Louis. Fifth, buy a Big Mac at regular price and get one for just 25 cents. 25-cent Big Macs Friday, October 5th. The rookie monsters, these are the guys that could win the Rookie of the Year. Rosario's had a tremendous season. Catcher for the Rockies. Todd Frazier's played all over the field for Cincinnati. And then you have Bryce Harper and Wade Miley. Miley an all-star this year for the Diamondbacks, along with Harper. It'd be tough to go against Todd Frazier for me, Al.
Well, in my mind, it would be Rosario or Miley. 16-game winner. But you saw the Rockies catcher, Rosario, who has more home runs and RBIs than Bryce Harper. Both of them playing key positions, but I would have to vote Rosario over Harper. I love the way he plays, though.
The hard part with Rosario is his defense. He really is still learning how to be a catcher, but offensively, he clearly has the best numbers.
And people don't they overlook defense.
Unfortunately, that's true.
Defense, Pete Kozma has kept him in this lineup. Injury to Fricale. And and that's hit out of play. This is Garcia, right-hander, new pitcher in for Washington.
And some nice tweets. Please tell the Mad Hungarian it's great to have him back for the Cardinals World Series run. And another tweet that says that the Cardinals are celebrating Al being back by scoring all these runs tonight.
Whatever it is, I like it.
Yeah.
We stretched my return for about 6 days, or at least 7 games.
About a month.
Well, that'd be even better.
Up until November 1st.
There you go.
That'd be about it.
That's game 7. Everybody has it on their day timer.
So this year, baseball will go into the month of November potentially. It has happened before, following 9/11, when sports for the most part was shut down, and baseball did go into the month of November. This Sunday, in recognition of October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older receive a knit headband featuring the Cardinals' pink ribbon logo. And it's presented by Fuse and Schnucks. Cardinals.com to get your seats.
Christian Garcia has been appearing in mostly wins. 7 of his 9 appearances have come in Nationals wins. Signed with the Nationals on July 21st of last season after his second of 2 Tommy John surgeries.
One ball and 1 strike with 1 out. Wainwright is grounded into a double play. And he also struck out. Breaking ball and a strike. Next season, schedule will be much different. The fact that the season will have the World Baseball Classic, but it'll end a little sooner than this year. There's a strikeout of Wainwright.
A few changes, not only Garcia, but now Mark DeRosa is playing third base, batting third. Brown is out in right field. He's the leadoff hitter. And you see the 37-year-old veteran. Sorry that he wasn't healthy when he was playing for St. Louis, Mark DeRosa. And what a quality guy he is, and one of the best bench players you could have when he's healthy.
We saw Fireballer go to Cleveland. It turned out to be their closer. Cardinals stuck with Mott. Chris Perez, part of that deal for DeRosa. And Perez has been one of the most vocal players against his hometown and against his team this year than anybody else I can think of in baseball.
Who's more popular in Cleveland, Perez or LeBron James?
I'll still go Chris Perez, but not by a lot.
Not by much, right?
Manny Acta was relieved of his duties. There's a line out. Manny Acta, the manager of the Indians. DeRosa, right on cue, makes that play. It's 9-1.
nation's largest 4G network, AT Rethink Possible. By Ford, the official vehicles of the Cardinals. And by the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Nice night for baseball at Busch Stadium, and it's been all St. Louis Cardinals. Through 5 innings of play, Adam Wainwright looking for victory number 14. And the Cardinals have chased the starter Edwin Jackson. And they're enjoying a 9-1 lead through 5.
And here is Adam LaRoche. Pitch count for Adam Wainwright. That pitch at 89. He's around 80. And with this sizable lead, no need to keep him in there for a real long time. That's out to deep right. Will stay in the ballpark. Beltran casually puts it away on the track. What's on tap? Brought to you by Budweiser, Zimmerman, and Loesch. Zimmerman is 12-8. Loesch is 16-3. Budweiser, what's on tap? And that's game 2 tomorrow. So, guys, you think about winning this game, and the Cardinals seem to be on their way, which then puts even more pressure on the Dodgers and clearly Milwaukee, and they're losing their ball game tonight. Now, how deep do you want to go with Adam Wainwright, thinking that this could be his final start of the regular season if you wanted it, and really curtail that workload tonight and get him fresh and ready to go?
It's a good point. I like the fact that if I get him through 6 innings, and
nice play short by Cosmo.
he timed that jump perfectly, got to the apex and hauled the ball in. Cosmo made a nice play there, right there. He gets, Adam is at 79 pitches here, and we'll see this last line drive that Cosmo turns into an out. It's up there, timed it perfectly.
Cardinals have Carpenter, Holiday, Craig coming up, so ways to go to get to Wainwright, but all the innings that have piled up this year, and taking some pretty good swings against him here this inning.
That was actually the first breaking ball that he's thrown this inning. So what we talked about with Wainwright, I think he's established his fastball more so in this game than some in recent history, and a good experience for him. You want to get him out after the experience is good. He doesn't need to go. I would say I like 6 innings too. He's had, you let him go 8 innings and he throws 200 on the season, and whether he cares about that or the Cardinals care about that, but
well, he'll have another start
potentially. And the question could be, does he make that start if the Cardinals have clinched by then?
Yeah, and that's my point. You don't necessarily have to do that.
Well, the one thing was, I think we're all in agreement that even though we know Wainwright's a workhorse, I would not put him as a potential of starting that 1-game playoff. I think that would fall to, in a perfect world, I think Kyle Loesch gets that start.
Factors you think about, Loesch arguably the best season of anybody, and if you're saying it about Wainwright, you could have him shut down after this game tonight, rested and ready. Then you know about the resume and history of Chris Carpenter. Got to get there first. They're on their way tonight. They're on sale right now at Cardinals.com. So don't wait. Cardinals.com/postseason to get those tickets. And the Cardinals know that if they would win the wild card play-in game, they would host the first two. So that's a definite. Get your tickets, Cardinals.com. Comparing last year to this year and where things stand. More of a comfort level this year, but still Rick not in.
Well, entirely different than the chase that the Cardinals were on a year ago. But it's fun nonetheless.
On a hop to second, and Carpenter is retired.
That was Lombardosi, who's the new second baseman.
So here's what we're talking about with 6 games remaining. Last year, the Cardinals 3 out. And this year, very good chance to reverse the trend and ease to an extent into postseason play. A year ago today was when the Cardinals wrapped it up but had to wait in Houston, Texas. There's a breaking ball that's taken inside. You had the walk-off home run by Tampa Bay, the collapse had taken place for the Boston Red Sox, and who would have thought at that point in time that the Boston Red Sox would then just be dismantled to an extent and come out and played this year awful baseball.
Well, their dismantling really started in early September, and a lot of things going on with that club that just resulted in them losing, and they lose their manager, and then just again an entirely different team this year, and really kind of hard to believe that it changed so quickly in Boston.
And Bobby Valentine's hired by the Red Sox. It's got to be what, 4 or 5 year contract, and many people believe he'll be fired late next week.
That hits Holiday, who's still in the game with the Cardinals up by the score of 9-1. We talked about the sore back that he's been dealing with, and that one hits off the forearm or the elbow.
He's acting like it's more the elbow, and
we're going to see Chambers here in a second running for him, I would imagine. Mike Matheny's looking back into the dugout trying to get somebody's attention as he's going out to check on Holiday. Where does it hit him?
Elbow. Right on the elbow, and he's lost all feeling in that elbow right now, and Matt Holiday is tough as anybody, and he's in tremendous pain right now. And Mike Matheny may be saying, why do I have him in this game? Well, he has him in this game because he's, even though you have a 9-1 lead, you still know that they're firepower, but Davey Johnson's already made wholesale substitutions, and I'm sure we're going to see a pinch runner and a replacement, Bobby Chambers. Ooh, look at that. Hit the spot right there. We'll get some ice on that.
Actually, Shane Robinson will be the pinch runner for Matt Holiday. He'll get treatment. And noticing that spot, you wouldn't expect it to be anything injury-wise major issue other than the pain that he's feeling right now. And I don't want to diminish that. He's certainly got it, but I don't know that it's a kind of injury that's going to keep him out of action.
Good point, you know, but it'll be sore.
Yeah.
Probably got an autograph on that elbow. Bud Selig.
I bet.
Joe Kelly is warming up, so a good indication that Wainwright's probably through, and we agree with that.
And I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait every time I get a chance to watch Joe Kelly pitch. I just think he getting better and better out of the bullpen. His last outing, he was, I mean, lights out.
His velocity has gotten the attention of a lot of people too, not just with us, but talking with a couple of scouts today. They said they didn't realize that he threw this hard.
It's a gentleman that asked me for the pregame show, was getting autographs, and he said, I got Joe Kelly to sign my baseball, and I made him put 100 next to it because he threw 100 miles an hour the day I watched him.
Off the glove of the shortstop and into shallow right center field. So Robinson will stop at third base, and they slipped out there.
Bernardina, who pinch hit and stayed in the ball game. You see big divot.
Ryder Cup taking place. Replace your divots.
How about Alan Craig? 4 for 4.
If I can add 1 point to the story, after I signed the gentleman's autograph, I asked him if he wanted me to write 82 next to it.
Come on, you didn't throw that hard.
With a good wind behind me, Al? Yes, I did.
Well, maybe.
I was just going to let it go because there's a lot of different ways you can go with it, so I just let it sit there. Here's Yadier Molina.
Second career 4-hit game for Alan Craig. His average up to .313 now. Yachty still has a team lead, but nice to see a couple in the top 10.
Ground ball, identical spot, little slower hit that time, and to the left of the shortstop. They make the play on the double play. It's 9-1. Rams host the Seahawks, then America's game of the week. Saints take on the Packers in Green Bay. Coverage begins with the Built Ford Tough Fox NFL pregame show, and that's at 11 a.m. A 9-1 lead. Holiday removed from this ball game. Shane Robinson is in left, and Joe Kelly takes over for Adam Wainwright as we start play here in the top of the 7th, and that's a move that we expected.
We expected it. Wish it would have happened before he got hit on the elbow, but Joe Kelly will take over. Here for the 22nd time. He made 16 starts here at the big league level. 4-6 record. ERA 3.74. Just didn't get a lot of run support. Had 10 quality starts in those 16. And remember, he made 12 starts at Memphis. He was 2-5 there, but was third in the Pacific Coast League in ERA at 2.86. Yeah, college closer. And when he was in the rotation, I know at one point his velocity was ranked as 4th highest among National League starters. So it's not surprising he picks up a couple extra miles an hour out of the bullpen.
On a couple of hops, Espinosa retired. Hard hit ball, 1 pitch, 1 out.
I had an interesting conversation with Derek Lilliquist about guys that go from the bullpen into a starting role, and you can talk about a lot of guys in that way. Mitchell Boggs, you can talk about Lance Lynn, and he said, I wish those guys would actually continue to throw as a starter and go ahead and air it out and see how long they can go. He said for some reason guys get in the rotation and they start to feel a little bit more, and they start to kind of pull back, and think I got to go 6, and he thinks to their detriment.
Well, especially today's baseball, where you're going at it. Every pitch they show their entire arsenal. So why not go, as hard and as long as you can, but turn it over to somebody else. Nobody's getting paid for complete games today.
Here's a 1-1 pitch, and remember that was the exact thought process Lilliquist talked about with Lance Lynn.
Right.
Big concern around spring training was Lynn going into the rotation. He said, well, why back off? Let it rip.
He actually learned that the first time in AAA. And Dyer Miller was down there with him. It was a couple years ago, and he resigned. He's throwing 89, 90 miles an hour as a starting pitcher. And Dyer and others talked to him and said, do you have more? And he goes, oh, yeah. Well,
remember, he showed it in that playoff
let's
game
see it.
where he had, almost 17 strikeouts or something.
Right, it was 16.
In 7 innings, too.
And it was an eye-opener for him to have that kind of experience in the minor leagues where you had the big strikeout game. You thought, you know what, I can go 7 or 8 innings. I'm strong enough to do that.
Saw Dyer Miller there, the bullpen coach, charting pitches. He charts just about every pitch thrown once the game starts. And don't forget, Cardinals have scored 9 tonight, so any size drink, just 50 cents all day tomorrow at your nearest On the Run at Mobile. This year, 6 is a serious number. So he charts and answers phone calls and talks with many players. But what he's doing right there is charting the warm-up pitches, the pitches in the game, so they do have an idea from game to game exactly what they're doing.
And most of the data ends up computerized now, but there was a time where there was a chart up in the wall of the clubhouse, and it was in the manager's office, between the wall and the wall outside of his office and his office door, and it would have each pitcher and how many times they threw on the side, how many times they warmed up. If they had an off day, there was an X, and that was kept all season long as a daily reminder to the manager who's ready and who's not. Not just did they get in the game, but did they warm up?
Well hit right center. This is trouble. And that ball is gone. A line shot, Roger Bernardina. And that is his 5th home run. And the lead is now 9-2. Jack Stretch is watching tonight. Happy 70th birthday to Jack. Cindy Richards, a longtime employee.
Jack's only 70?
70 years old.
Boy, I thought he was about 85.
That's Al. That's not Rick or Dan. Nicely done, Al.
Bernardina has just got that wiry body, great extension right there, and just, she said, a line drive, but carries out. Or 9-2, but with the Cardinals scoring 5 in the first, 4 in the second, just wish they could add on. Corey Brown has been playing right field, but his first plate appearance.
That's it out of play. Virginia Reinig from Portsmouth, Iowa. Never misses a game on Fox Sports Midwest. Virginia Reinig celebrating her 85th birthday. Happy birthday to Virginia.
I knew somebody was 85 today.
The 2-1 pitch. 2-2.
Dorothy Fensholt is 85 today and never misses a Cardinal game. I guess everybody's 85 today.
Joe Kelly threw a changeup at 85. Pretty good changeup.
And there's the separation we talked about with Wainwright. 9-10 miles an hour. That's the right number.
2-2 pitch. Think about some of the power arms the Cardinals have coming out of the bullpen. Guys that are throwing 95 or above. Trevor Rosenthal is 97, 98 consistently. Kelly is high 90s. Shelby Miller, the mid 90s, and there's a 2-out walk.
Ricky, it's been a long time since the Cardinals have had so many power arms.
You're right. You are absolutely right. And I know, Dan, you had a chance to visit with Matt Gifford, and we saw John Vooch earlier today and made sure we congratulated him on what's going on in the Cardinal minor league system. But to me, that's the biggest plus they've got going. It's just the number of guys that continue to develop who are throwing hard and capable of being a closer, being a number 1, number 2 starter at the big league level. I think Rosenthal is going to be one of those guys. Top-notch winner in the big leagues eventually.
Here's Mark DeRosa.
I think it's going to be so intriguing when you think about the Rosenthals, Shelby Miller. We talk about Kelly. What's their role going to be? You know, some in the late innings, some in the rotation. I like the idea of young pitchers pitching out of the bullpen for a year or so. Find out a manager can kind of protect you. He can treat you with kid gloves. He can give you only positive experiences. If you don't have it a game, and get you out of there before your numbers really get skewed. But you learn what works at this level, and then after you get a little experience and more confidence, then you can go into that rotation.
The 2-2 pitch to DeRosa. Time to stretch here at Busch Stadium. A home run by Roger Bernardino. St. Louis on top in game 1. It's 9-2. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And by Taco Bell. Taco Bell. Live Mas. A 9-2 lead for St. Louis. The Cardinals picked up all 9 runs in the first 2 innings. They knocked out Edwin Jackson. It's Pirates night here at the ballpark, and here's Zach Duke.
Memory served me right. Another first-round draft pick of the Pirates. And Gorzolani, both in that ilk.
We're talking about the minor league system. How important it is for Houston to make sure they don't miss on first-round picks. where the Cardinals have had great success, it's been with guys that have been in the later rounds, and your scouts have a chance to go to the director that is running the draft and say, hey, take a chance on Trevor Rosenthal. This guy's pretty good. And then it works.
Their best lefty is Sean Burnett out of the bullpen, another top choice.
And he was drafted by Pittsburgh based on signability at that point. Now, obviously, he had talent, but signability was an issue with some of the other players that were there.
So think about their left-handed relievers. You throw in John Lannon, who was their #1 starter at one point on this team. Opening day starter. And got sent to the minor leagues. He couldn't crack the rotation because of the good pitchers that they developed, and had to spend some time in AAA, and now he's in their bullpen.
A lot of people had an inkling that Washington could be good because of their pitching. And their pitching has been outstanding, but this team has come together offensively. You know,
they're #1 in the National League in pitching, #4 in team batting average. And they're also 4th defensively. So very well-rounded team.
High fly ball down the right field line. It stays fair, and the catch is made. Take a look at our trivia question tonight. Cardinals leading 9-2 here in the bottom of the 7th. AT&T trivia, other than Gio Gonzalez, who is the only other player in Nats Expos history to win 20 games in a season. How about that? Ross Grimsley, 20 wins back in 1978. Descalso is retired. In shocking news handed to us, Matt Holliday left with a left elbow contusion. I'm shocked we didn't figure that one out as we get official word.
Well, it scared me there for a second.
The unofficial word was it was the right elbow, and then they had to correct it.
One of those elbows.
I couldn't tell the grapefruit that was starting to grow off his left elbow. Cosma hustling down the line. And the Cardinals go in order. 9-2 as we head to the 8th. for the National League East. 91-66, the record for Atlanta. 4.5 games back of the Cardinals' opponent tonight, the Washington Nationals. It's 9-2 St. Louis as we move to the top of the 8th. 15 hits combined in this game. St. Louis with 9 runs in the first 2 innings. And out of all the names that we've talked about, arguably the most intriguing is standing on the mound right now as a potential candidate next year for the starting rotation. Could be a great battle next year when you think about the young pitchers. And that is Trevor Rosenthal.
Yeah, not only in the rotation, but there's going to be some great battles in that bullpen, and not many spots open because there's some good throwers down there too.
Agreed.
Power arms the Cardinals have.
Power arms that are under control and will be back again.
For a long time, really.
One ball and 2 strikes. Pitch at 98. Jason Mott entrenched as the closer. He's had a fabulous year. This is the story I was telling last week about Rosenthal, a shortstop, and there is Cruz behind the plate. But Trevor, with 1 scout in the stands that stayed for the entire game, watched him pitch. And that scout was there to see somebody else. Word got out that this guy can bring it. Adrian Chambers is into the ball game in right field. He said a whole handful of scouts showed up at the next game, and the Cardinals, and that pitch at 100, picked up Trevor Rosenthal, who was telling me he used to go to games all the time at Kauffman Stadium. He said more of a fan of just baseball in general. And this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the world champion St. Louis Cardinals. And that's a strike to Chad Tracy. Three-man booth tonight. We'll do it again on Monday. This has been fun.
Sure has.
It's been fun because the Cardinals have a big lead.
And a foul ball. Al, I think it's fun because you're back, and I don't know if I've ever sat this close to Rick.
I'll leave it at that.
Oh, I feel the love.
You know what's missing, though? The gang's not all back. Where's Garcia? Tim Garcia, who hasn't missed a game in 8 decades, decided not to come tonight. Maybe because you're back, Al.
That's who I get to sit close to.
Kimmy is here. High fly ball out to center. John Jay tracks it down, makes the catch. Runner back to the bag at first, and there's one away.
And you were talking about draft picks and everything. Everybody's number 1 should make it to the big leagues. I really rate draft classes by what happens in the later rounds. How many of those guys can you produce and get to the big leagues? That's when you really determine whether it's been a successful class.
There's Kim to Al's right to class up the joint. Great to have you back, Al. Great to have you back.
With such enthusiasm, Dan. Thank you.
Here is Perez. That pitch at 99 from Rosenthal. Sincerely, very happy to have you back, Al.
You bet.
Make it a lot of fun. 0-2 the count.
Well, I had a great trip, but I will tell you one thing. It is nothing like coming back to the USA. And I mean that sincerely.
Perez late with that swing. 0-2 the count. And you were to be commended for your work with the armed forces. They had a military day of appreciation when you were gone, Al, and they were all asking about you. Where's Al?
I know that.
Oh, and 2. Rick will be on the postgame show. Pat Paris standing by, and lots of offense to talk about coming up. Also have the final Hungo of the year. That'll be awarded tonight.
A lot of candidates.
Knowing you, Al, as I do, my assumption, and I don't know this as a fact, but my assumption will be that you will pick for the Hungo of the year a pitcher.
I'll give you a hint. I picked a Cardinal.
All right.
Let me see.
For the year Yachty's having, for the year that Holiday and Beltran,
Alan Craig
with all of his RBIs,
Jason Mott, Kyle
Jason
Loesch.
Mott, Loesch. You got Lynn's got the most wins on the staff. A lot of choices.
I'd love to get inside your brain, Al, and see
No,
how
you wouldn't.
Well,
you would be in trouble.
Definitely. I'd bring a flashlight, that's for sure. But I'd like to know how you come up with the criteria for the Hungo. I think inquiring minds want to know.
What is the criteria?
Flip a coin.
First warm body down there to do the interview with Al wins a Hungo. Here's a 1-2.
Actually, I had to wait a while because Beltran hid the microphone on Jim Hayes.
One-two pitch. Puts it in play. And they'll get at least the lead man. Back to first, no throw. 2 down.
You mentioned Rosenthal signing as a shortstop, and he's really developed as a pitcher. And there were times in his minor league career that he needed to work on his demeanor a bit. And I think he has come full circle in that regard. He is just totally in command when he's on the mound. He just kind of has a good presence. In fact, he was just kind of awarded. There's a minor league program going on that John Mozeliak's involved in, and Mike Schilt, the manager of the Double-A team, and we should congratulate him for that Texas League championship once again. But John Mozeliak has a program. It's called Prosper, and the idea is to take these developmentally players that they want to develop to be big leaguers, teach them how to handle interviews, finances, etc., and develop as men and develop some character. Trevor Rosenthal in the first graduating class this week.
Tonight of 39,166, and Yachty with our Nissan drive of the game. Molina with home run number 22, a 2-run shot back in the second inning. That's our drive of the game, brought to you by Nissan. Rick Horton, Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you. Well, one of the stories from this ball game tonight, Holiday taking a fastball off the left elbow, and hopefully he's going to be all right. There's Tony Cruz, and Cruz hits it out to left. On his way to second base, Tony Cruz trotting in with a stand-up double to start play here in the home half of the eighth.
He's done a real nice job backing up Yachty, and that's tough because Yachty plays nearly every day. You don't get many at bats, and Tony Cruz has made the most of it. It's Mike Gonzalez, the new pitcher, and over the head, Moore, and a double. Tony's been getting a lot of extra base hits of late.
I like that swing too. Nice short swing from Cruz. There are times where his swing will get a little long, but that one was right on time, and he was first ball hitting.
And what you think that's a byproduct of lack of playing time?
No question.
You can't keep that timing.
Remember Mike Gonzalez before the arm injuries and the surgery, how nasty this lefty used to be. Race to the bag here. Jay is out. Gonzalez has been a closer in his career.
Chad Tracy now playing first base. Gonzalez a little late in covering, and that's why he had to scramble to the bag. Beats John Jay to first, and Tony Cruz advances to third.
Here's Carpenter, starts at third tonight. He's 0 for 2. 2 walks, 2 runs scored. In the air to right field. That drops down for a base hit. Carpenter drives in an RBI, his 45th this year. It's a double here in the home half of the eighth, and the Cardinals have put up 10 runs tonight.
'45th RBI for Matt Carpenter. He won't be the rookie of the year, but he should get some consideration.
Batting average around 300. The RBIs you just mentioned, and a lot of extra base hits from him too, doubles and triples, and he's been a very solid performer at multiple positions. And yeah, I would say he's a top 6 or 7.
Yeah, his 22nd double. He has 5 triples to go with his 6 home runs.
Shane Robinson. Robinson with a high fly ball out to deep left. Did he get enough? It's at the wall. Gone. Shane Robinson, a 2-run homer. A 12 spot put up tonight by St. Louis.
Shane Robinson loves high pitches.
Boy, he really does, doesn't he?
He does, and the little guy, he swings the bat with authority when he sees a pitch up in his eyes. Got underneath it a little bit. You didn't know if it would carry. You were hopeful of it, and just enough.
It's 12-2 now. Here's Ryan Jackson.
Our bench is beating their bench. Starters, we were better, and now the bench is better.
Well, Cardinals had a choice between Cosma and Jackson. Jackson primarily the everyday shortstop in the minor leagues ahead of Cosma, who was playing second base, but Pete Cosma has now found a home at the major league level at short.
And interesting that at least before I left, the only playing time we saw Jackson get was at second.
Time is called. 2 balls, no strikes, 1 out. Nobody on, and a 12-2 lead. We saw the debut of Jackson L in Philly. Remember, he played second base that night with a ground ball pitcher on the mound and Jake Westbrook, and the ball found him, didn't it?
It sure did. End up making a very fine play in that game, but remember the first ball of the game went right to him, and we kind of said, well, that's now he's got his feet wet. But after that, he kind of said, hey, pick on somebody else.
The way most Cardinal coaches would describe Ryan Jackson is as relates to Pete Cosma, and I think now that we've seen Pete Cosma play for a week or two, we realize who he is, and he does not have the foot speed that Cosma has or the power, but he's probably a better hitter than Cosma, or has shown that.
Fights it off, a little bloop into shallow right, diving catch, and what a play in right field. Outstanding catch there by Brown.
Larry Brown got a good jump on it, felt comfortable, and of course it's 12-2, but he could leave his feet and the ball gets by him, and Jackson may circle the bases, but he makes the play.
Alvin Craig, big night guys at the plate. Schnook's difference maker, Al.
4 for 4, couple RBIs, couple runs scored. Alan Craig just continues to produce in clutch spots with his RBIs. Allen's got, who Chambers is hitting for, up to 91 RBIs in 114 games.
Chambers, his average at 224. No home runs, driven in 4. And Adrian fouls it back.
And you think about these bench players making contributions as they have, there's going to be some opportunities for them in the next 6 days and beyond. And Mike Matheny's going to have some difficult decisions to make, not only about who's going to start potential playoff games, but who's going to be on his roster.
It's very interesting because that 1-game playoff, you set your roster for that, and then you would reset it if you advance.
Right.
So for the 1-game playoff, where we're hopeful it'll be in Atlanta on next Friday, you would take a couple of your starters, maybe as many as 3 starters off your roster, and have that many more bench players. And a guy like Chambers, because of his speed, would more than likely be one of them.
You think about Pete Cosma as a guy that was not a Cardinal prior to what he's done here in September, and yet he's a big part of what this team is right now, so you got to include him. That means you have to exclude somebody.
Hustling down the line, and the Cardinals add to the lead with 3 runs here in the 8th. All St. Louis 12-2. With 12 hits, 12 runs. Rick Horton, Dan McLaughlin, and Al Raboski with you. Fernando Salas is into the ballgame for St. Louis.
So we get a little tune-up for Salas, who's had an inconsistent season, but what he did last year, leading the ball club with 24 saves, that warrants consideration. Appearing for the 64th time. He's got 4 losses and 5 decisions. Scalzo moves to third. Carpenter moves from third to first. Jackson stays in the game playing second.
Here's Danny Espinosa. The first pitch swung on and missed.
I think Salas still has an upside to be a big part of a Cardinal bullpen both this year and going forward. And I would say that Edward Mujica did more to help Fernando Salas and this Cardinal bullpen. And we've talked about Mujica a lot, but I don't think we can overstate the value that he's brought to this team. He was not a big name signing when the Cardinals got him late in August, but he helped solidify that 7th inning, and then you could kind of ease Salas into some other different kind of situations, and he's responded by that.
I don't think there's any doubt about how valuable Mujica has been. At that point, we were really losing ball games in the 6th and 7th inning, bridging the gap from starter to Boggs and Mott at the end. But Mujica took over in that 7th inning, and he has done an outstanding job.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Astros leading their game over Milwaukee. That's in the bottom of the 8th, 6-4. The Dodgers have jumped out already to a 4-0 lead in the bottom of the 3rd.
That's Clayton Kershaw on the mound for LA.
1-2 pitch. Make a great point. You think about Salas, Rick, and having an opportunity to, you don't want to say non-pressurized situations, but it's not the 8th, it's not the 9th.
Yeah, well, I mean, the pressure does matter, and to be able to kind of ease into kind of just a more low-key assignment, and to get a little confidence with that, and then bring it into a tougher assignment later on.
Handled by Matt Carpenter. The Zeller clan is watching tonight. Michelle, Matt, Matthew, and Mason. As we get a look at our Budweiser player of the game, and it's Adam Wainwright. The Zeller clan is happy to see this. Wainwright, 6 innings, 5 hits. A run that was earned and looked very good.
After the first half inning, he was trailing 1-0, but his offense took care of things, and then Adam went out there and threw 5 shutout innings to only allow the 1 run in the first.
Jesus Flores. Shallow left. Robinson under it, makes the catch. 2 outs.
San Francisco has jumped out to a 3-0 lead over San Diego. Cardinal fans rewarded. Offense have been struggling, but not tonight.
Bernardina, and he takes ball 1. Bernardina with a home run over 430 feet into the bleachers in right center.
He had speed, but you didn't know he could hit a line drive home run to center.
And it got out in a hurry. 2 balls and no strikes. Strike. 3-1 with 2 down. Nobody on here in the top of the 9th. 12-2 St. Louis. A season-ending hungo will be awarded coming up on the post-game show. 3-2 right down the middle.
You can see you don't want to walk anybody here. Salas aggressively. I don't know what Bernardino was looking for. Is right there in his wheelhouse. And will this be the final pitch of this game? Changeup's his best pitch.
And he walked him. Now, we were talking about rosters to end the 8th inning. A lot of talk around Major League Baseball that this will be the final season that you see the unlimited numbers of players coming up in September. And the talk is, and there's a lot of support from managers in the game because of the competitive advantage that it could give teams, but a lot of talk has been that you would essentially have 30 guys you could have on your roster, and then before every game in September you submit your 25 that are hot that could play, and 5 would sit, but that could change either series by series or game to game.
Makes sense. And kind of like that. I was going to say maybe hold it to 30, but you're saying, you know, just put a designated 25 to every game, and so basically you'd write out take off 4 starters. There you're right there.
Yep.
And then almost every day you'll have some reliever that maybe is overworked, and so you could do it very simply. I like that idea.
I do too. Time of game issue, the competitive balance issue of that. 0-2 pitch. A lot of managers have weighed in and publicly stated that they like that. They think it's something good for the game.
Sometimes it's if you got something to play for and you expand the rosters, you got to be very careful that you don't have some guys that get in the way of what you're trying to accomplish too.
Swing and a miss, and the Cardinals win the ball game by the score of 12-2.
Now, we talked about the Cardinals need to take care of their own business. They acted like they bought into that philosophy of Mike Matheny's tonight as they have a convincing victory 12-2 over a playoff-bound team, the Nationals.
So it's win number 85. That's updated 85-72 for St. Louis. And now you scoreboard watch when you think about the Dodgers and Milwaukee finishing up their ball games later tonight. So Mike Matheny and the Cardinals pick up the win, 12-2 the final, and the post-game show comes your way next.